So our goal this morning is to try. Our goal this morning is to try and hike that with the boys. We'll see how this goes. We made it to the top. The boys did great. Huh, Justice? How are you doing? It's a little too windy to get more drone shots up here, especially for how small my drone is, but got a decent shot there. Smoke's rolling in. Time to head back. Whew. That was a fun hike. I'm really glad we did that hike today because I believe it correlates well with our passage for today. Today's day 176, and we are in 2 Kings chapter 14, which is the same as 2 Chronicles chapter 24. It's the story of Amaziah, who was king over Judah. It's really interesting. The Bible tells us that when he reigned, that he did what was right in the eyes of God, but he wasn't as wholehearted in his devotion to God like King David was. Just an interesting note there. What is interesting about this guy is there was a battle that he went to go partake in, and it was to conquer the Edomites, or the people of Edom. And we see in our account in Chronicles that what had happened, that there were some people from Israel, some warriors from Israel that came and said that they would fight and they paid tribute and everything, but then this man of God came to Amaziah and said, hey, don't enlist their help, just go and the Lord will fight for you. And he goes and he has a victory as a result of his obedience, and he destroys the Edomites. God gives him that victory. But what happened in the destruction of Edom, that Amaziah brought back some of the Edomite gods, and really that kind of began his downfall. But essentially what happens is Israel fights against Amaziah. They fight against Judah, and Israel is victorious. And what happens is Amaziah gets captured, and he essentially lives in captivity for the rest of his life, which is quite a bit. Then in 2 Kings, we're introduced to Jeroboam II, and we get a quick preview into Jonah the prophet, which we will be looking at in tomorrow's vlog. As I was reading the story today, I just couldn't help but think of the story of Amaziah and kind of how it reflects a little bit of our day today on our hike. So our goal was to get to the top, not to the very top of the rock here in Castle Rock, but the trail that kind of circles around the iconic rock. I wasn't sure how Justice was going to do. It's a pretty strenuous hike. It's not very long, but it's got a nice, decently steep elevation climb. He did great. He killed it. He did awesome. He had such a great attitude. But as we were coming back down the trail, I think he was getting maybe a little too confident, a little comfortable, and he slipped and he scraped his knee a little bit. It wasn't anything big, but just a little scrape, and it was aggravating him, and it made me think a little bit of the story of Amaziah, of how he had this great victory, that God had given him victory over the Edomites, and due to really pride, he eventually no longer trusts in God, but he trusts in his own efforts to bring about victory, to bring about the things that he wants to happen. And I think that it's so tempting for us to fall into that rut, that sin as well. Like, we all experience pride in one way or another in the way that we live, and life is about constant surrender and constant dependence on God, especially when things are going great. Because when things are going great, that's usually when we think we need God the least. It's when things start to fall apart and our life is just in shambles that we run to God. But we need to always have this heart. We need to guard our mind. We need to guard our heart with this understanding that no matter how good things are, we need Jesus. We need God. Amaziah today is a reminder for us today to be very watchful of pride. And essentially, pride is just acknowledging that you don't need God, which each and every one of us needs God all the time.